And here's the moment you've been waiting for, the John Wick 4 review. Here we go. First and foremost, this is going to be relatively, if not completely, spoiler-free, so have no fear. I will say right at the beginning of this video that this film was quite enjoyable, as opposed to this film right here, which was just largely flat. I do enjoy pretty much everything Keanu Reeves does, so I would say I was a fan. But walking into a lot of different films, I'm able to separate my fandom and my admiration for certain actors from the actual product on the screen. And I'll say it this way, this film doesn't disappoint. Now, you can take a lot of things away from that. First of all, I'm not saying there aren't issues with the film, because there are a few. I know for a fact that there are a couple of scenes that could have ended up on the cutting room floor that would have made this film even better. Because at 2 hours and 50 some minutes, it might be a little bit long. But doesn't mean you're dragging. The film itself is non-stop action. And when I say that, I mean you get a few breaths here and there, a good rise and fall that happens throughout this film. But for the most part, you are engaged in a pretty much non-stop action scene. And they are stupendous. Now, there's a lot of setup up front. There are a lot of things that, will make sense after you see the film. But you get even deeper into the lore and the things that govern this world. And it has expanded a little bit outside of, well, reality. And that's one conversation that I had recently with a person that I admire very much here on this platform and on Rumble that, couldn't avoid having or admit that they were right. There is some reality in this version of reality, but it's definitely, well, maybe not of this earth. And with all that being said, the film starts out essentially like all other films in this universe, absent, jump starting immediately into action. However, for every 5-minute conversation early on, there's 5 minutes worth of action. And that's kind of the way this film is balanced. 5 minutes of dialogue, 5 minutes of action, 10 minutes of dialogue, 20 minutes of action, and then the ratio completely changes, and that's a good thing. There are, like I said, some unnecessary scenes in here, but as far as progression of the character from beginning to end, it's very, very well done. Now, it has been rumored, and I think that I can say that I agree, that this was essentially 2 films mashed together as one, and there probably is a reason for that. Keanu Reeves is getting older. Whether or not he's actually slower is an argument to be had elsewhere, probably on live streams all around the different video platforms. And look, age does slow us down, and with Keanu Reeves, it's no different. But his performance in this film, as well as Ian McShane and of course Donnie Yen, well, they are very consistent throughout. And Donnie Yen is amazing in this film and in the character that he plays. He is exactly what he said he was going to be in many different interviews, a blind version of Bruce Lee, and it is cool to see. Ian McShane's Winston, manager of the Continental, is every bit the conniving person that he has represented throughout the franchise, and you'll see what I mean as you get deeper into the film. There are new characters and expansion of families that operate in this criminal world that, well, they weren't there before, but also feed directly into what's happened. And the film is rather globe-trotting. In other words, there are many large set pieces and locations that feel real, because they are. And of course, no good John Wick film would be complete without a wet fight, and you get a very interesting one in this film involving some stairs and a really big guy. The soundtrack and everything that goes along with it, all the atmospherics, were well done. I would say it's one of the best parts of the film. And add to that a few moments where you get some older rock songs strategically placed, but perhaps out of place. You get kind of the audio imaging that's required for an amazing action film. Just harken back to the 80s and you'll be even more comfortable. And that might be the position from which to watch the film. move yourself back to the 80s action era and just enjoy the ride. The ending of the film is quite touching and maybe will indicate the future of this franchise, as well as the expanded world with another film on the way and a spin-off television show as well. And when I say another film, I mean another film in this universe, not specifically John Wick. My theater experience was phenomenal. The theater itself, as always, is a normal theater that I go to regularly with clean seats, plenty of refreshments available, and perfectly air conditioned. It also had a very large number of people in it for a Thursday preview, which hasn't been the case on many films recently. I would say in the last couple of years. Of course, absent Top Gun Maverick, this particular theater was at least half full, and maybe more, as I didn't really pay too much attention once the film started, or at least the preview started, and boy were there a lot of them. Now, I have to acknowledge a few flaws, one of them being that there was definitely some modern audience writing and some modern audience thinking in the script itself, and, well, clearly in the casting. And I'm not sure if that's in an effort to win some kind of an award somewhere. The only thing I could see it winning an award for would be for cinematography, because this film is absolutely beautiful. In fact, so far this year, this may be the best film of the year to date. Now, of course, that's all going to change in 2 weeks when we get to Super Mario Brothers, most likely. So we'll put a pin in that one. Now, as far as ratings go, well, I'm going to give you a couple of different scales to work with. We'll work with my 5-star scale, and I'm going to say 4.5 or 4.25 stars. I'm kind of unsure about which I'm leaning towards. On a scale of 1 to 10, however, somewhere between 8.7 and 9.2, just because of the sheer 80s action alone. And again, I love action films. Now the ultimate question, and the one that I think is the most relevant. Should you spend money to see this film? Well, again, if you like the previous 3 films and you like 80s action and you like those 2 things combined, this is probably going to be the film for you. So spend the $8 to $11 and you'll probably enjoy yourself. I'm not sure it's worth spending more on a premium large format like IMAX, because I'm not sure how much more there is to be gained. If you're able to turn your brain off, you're going to have a lot of fun here. And finally, with any John Wick film, you have to have one important thing: a body count. And I think the body count in this film is more than all of the others combined. But hey, maybe you can keep count. With that being said, let's wrap up right here. I'll say be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.